friends! Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to a morning edition of Code Katas, episode number 32. Well, we're gonna break things down one step at a time. We're gonna solve these katas, you and I. We're gonna break things down one step at a time. We're gonna solve these katas, you and I. Code Wars, Code Katas, Code Wars, Code Katas, Code Wars, Code Katas, yeah! Welcome to the stream. As I mentioned, this is the Code Wars Code Katas show. And if you're not familiar with it, you can go to github.com/codinggarden/code-katas, and all the solutions from all the past episodes are here. And if you're not familiar with Code Wars, it's basically a website where you can find coding challenges of various levels and try solving them, which is super fun. My live chat manager is broken right now. I'm not seeing YouTube chats, and I don't really feel like debugging it because I just kind of want to get started coding. But let's say hello to everyone that we can in the YouTube chat. Hello, Mayur. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Alka. Hello, Satya. Hello, Michael. Hello, Flukefed. Hello, Just Some Aussie. Hello, Ran. Hello, Mattia. Hello, Angel, who's finally on time. Hello, Boyan. On a streaming spree, yes. Hello, Pablo, welcome. Hello, Flukefed, again. I got my red hat. Yeah, so usually when I need a haircut, I wear my red hat all the time. I just need to cut my hair. I haven't found the time. Hello, Miku. Hello, Boyan. Yes. Hello, Cedric. Good morning. So if I missed your YouTube chat, I'm really sorry, but I really don't want to debug this thing anymore. Basic Wonder says, wish some music was playing. I do too. I don't want to get a copyright violation, and pretty much every time I've tried to play music on my stream, I've gotten a copyright violation, but welcome. And Alka says, just enjoy the silence before the chaos. That's the 15K guy. Yeah, that's me. That's me. The calm before the storm, says Dana Chu. A countdown would be nice too. I could do that. These are all great ideas. You know what? And maybe I'll have time this weekend to work on them. Thank you for your suggestions. Hello, Oler Sino, welcome to the stream. And thanks for the follow, Anthony Peria88. Alka says they got a haircut too. Cool, so I have to talk to Alka, but we'll probably stream this weekend again, working on the Twitch bot, and we'll both have haircuts, so that would be cool. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put the YouTube chat in this. Yeah. That'll be easier to follow, I guess. Right? I don't know. Hello, Greg. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Beck. Live stream hair. I could cut my hair on live stream. I don't know who would be into that, but I cut my own hair. Hello, Anton. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, this is a Red Hat sponsored stream. Not really. No, this is not a sponsored stream. Okay, so I've done something crazy, and I've picked out the katas ahead of time. So the last few episodes have been more just kind of us hanging out and we vote on a kata. But I realize that for those of you that are not watching this live, it may not be that fun to watch us talking a lot. So we're going to get right into it. And I have selected this one. It was suggested to me on CodeWars. I just opened up the website. This is an 8Q. So the way CodeWars works is it goes from a lesser difficulty, which is an 8Q, all the way up to the most difficult, which is a 1Q. We're going to start super easy and get warmed up, and then we'll go from there. Yeah. Hello, Coding Pasta. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for the follow. Dana Chu says, CJ, work on getting bits on Twitch. I want to bit you. So the thing is, and I guess I'll talk about this for those of you watching on Twitch, if I become a Twitch affiliate, which is what's required to allow bits to happen, I cannot dual stream on YouTube and Twitch. So for right now, I've decided that I am not going to become an affiliate, and I'm just going to keep on streaming. Maybe when I get to a certain number of Twitch followers, I'll turn on affiliate, but there are a lot of people that watch me on YouTube, and that would be very disappointed. Have a good shower, Alka. We'll see you soon. All right, so this first one that I have picked out is my head is at the wrong end. So this is a very simple one. We're just going to explore some different ways of manipulating arrays in JavaScript. So here's the problem. You're at the zoo. All the meerkats look weird. Something has gone terribly wrong. Someone has gone and switched their heads and tails around. Save the animals by switching them back. You will be given an array which will have 3 values, tail, body, and head, and it is your job to rearrange the array so that the animal is the right way around. Head, body, tail. Same goes for all the other arrays and lists that you will get in the tests. You'll have to exchange the element positions with the same exact logics. Simples. All right, let's get started. So locally, I'm going to create a file called my head is at the wrong end. Let's close this. Here we go. New file. My head is at the wrong end.js. And like I said, this is going to be pretty easy. I think it'll be fun to explore all the different ways of doing it because like with ES 2015 or ES6 destructuring, this actually can be done pretty simply, but we'll do it. I was gonna say coding garden. It is morning. I am just waking up. Okay, so we're given an array with tail, body, heads, and we need to turn that into an array that is head, body, tail. Cool. So in the most simplest form of doing this, we can really just extract each part of the array into a variable and then create a new array with the variables in the right order. So I think that's probably the easiest way to go. So let's say a variable to hold the tail, which is index 0, a variable, I can spell variable, a variable to hold the body, which is index 1, and a variable to hold the head, which is going to be index 2. So if you're totally new to programming, what we're looking at here, these square brackets, this is known as an array. You can think of it like a list of things. And in JavaScript programming and a lot of other programming languages, these are indexed. So tail is index 0, body is index 1, head is index 2. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to reach into this array and take this value and put it in a variable. We're going to reach into the array, take this value, put it into a variable, reach into the array, take this value, put it into a variable, and then we're going to create a new array with the things in a different order. So let's do it. So we have a variable called tail, and that's going to be array at 0. And then we have a variable called body, and that's going to be array at 1. And then we have a variable called head, and that's going to be array at 2. So essentially all we've done here is we've created these variables, which we can reference by name, and they have the values that were inside of the array at 0, 1, and 2. Awesome. So now that we have those things, we want to rearrange them. So we're just going to return a new array that has head, comma, body, comma, tail. And that should do it, because basically we took the thing, the head, which was at the end, and we put it at the beginning of a new array, and we took the tail, which was at the beginning, and we put it at the end of the new array. Hopefully I said that right. I think I got confused with my words, but I'm going to start a thing called Quokka. It's going to run the code inside of our editor, and what do we get? So the first log we see is the result of our function. We have head, body, tail, so it looks like we've done it. Heads, body, tails, heads, body, tails, top, middle, bottom, top, middle, bottom. So we've done it. It's fairly simple, like I mentioned, but there are some very interesting and other ways we can do this. So let's explore those really quick. Let's use array destructuring. So this is a newer feature in ES6, and basically what it allows us to do is to pluck out the values of an array and put them into variables. So I can do this. So I can create, the syntax is going to be weird if you've never seen this before. But basically what I can say is the right-hand side of the expression is the array. It's the thing that we're going to pluck out the values for. And then on the left-hand side, we use bracket notation to notate that we're going to pluck things out of this array. And so just like I created these variables, each one on a new line, I can actually do that here. So I can say tail, comma, body, comma, head. And what this is going to do is it's going to take the thing at the 0th index and put it in a variable called tail. It's going to take the thing at the first index, put it in a variable called body, and it's going to take the thing at the second index and put it in a variable called head. And now I can just return a very similar thing, head, body, and tail. And that should do it too. but it's only 2 lines of code. It's a little bit shorter. Like I said, if you're new to destructuring, this is going to look really weird, but basically what's happening there is just this. This is like a shorthand way of writing that. So let's see what we got. Head, body, tails, top, middle, bottom. Wonderful. All right, one last way I'm going to do this is by kind of like using some built-in functions to manipulate the array. So we know that the array that we get, we know that the head is at the end of the array and the tail is at the beginning of the array. So I could do something like this. So let's say tail is going to be array, and then we need some function that will give us the first value in the array. So let's go to the Mozilla Developer Network, and I think what we want is array.shift. Let's see. Array.prototype.shift removes the first element from an array and returns that removed element. So if we say array.shift right here, that's going to remove the first element in the array, which is tail, store that in a variable called tail. But now, if we look at array, it only has 2 items inside of it. So let's comment out all of these so only one of them is running. And so if we do array.shift, and we were given this array that has tail, body, head, now the array only has body and head inside of it, and we now have the value of tail. Cool. Let's do something very similar and take the last value in the array. So let's say const head equals array.pop. So pop is another one of those built-in functions, and that does the same thing but with the last value in the array. So let's look at array pop. There it is, array prototype pop. I know what you guys are laughing at. And essentially that will take the last element in the array, pop it off, and return it so we can put it in a new variable. And if we log the array at this point, now it's just an array with body inside of it. So now we need to do the opposite thing. So now we want to take head and put it as the first value in the array. So we could say array dot, I believe it's unshift, and we'll pass in head. Then let's log the array. So unshift is a way of inserting something at the beginning of the array. So shift removes it from the beginning, unshift adds it to the beginning. And we can see unshift on here as well. Array unshift. There it is. And we've done it. My God, we're just hacking up this poor Meerkat. We are, but it's okay because we're about to put him back together. So now that we've put his head back on, we need to also put his tail back on. So we can say array.push tail. So push is a method that's going to put something at the end of the array. And then if we log it, it should be in the right order. So we basically took multiple steps. We used lots of built-in array functions to move this thing around, and we have it back in the right order. So now we can just return array. And we should get head, body, tail. Cool. And let's try to run the rest of these as well. Head, body, tails, top, middle, bottom, upper legs, torso, lower legs. We've done it. We've done it. Cool. So this is fun with array methods. I think I'm going to submit this one on CodeWars because I like destructuring. And once you're used to it, it's pretty fun. So let's see. And let's catch up on the chat. We got that one. We'll do an attempt. And submit final. Is it trying? It tried it. Yay! Ta-da! We're only 18 minutes in, and we've solved a kata. I think that's a recent record for the show. Thank you for the imaginary bits, Danachu. Alka says, I'll just listen to you instead of music. Thanks, Alka. Appreciate that, Dragomir. Just auto-tune CJ, and then he is music. Yeah, auto-tune code solutions. One-line solution array. Array.reverse. That would work too. Oh, wonderful. Great suggestion, Katola. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, because, I mean, this is an array of just 3 elements. And essentially what we're doing is we're taking the thing at the end and putting it at the beginning, and taking the thing at the beginning and putting it at the end. So, of course, if you just reverse the array, you should get the very same thing. So, let's just do it again. And we can return array.reverse. So reverse is another one of those built-in functions to arrays that we can just call, and we don't have to really do anything special. Look at that. Too easy. Too easy. Thank you, Katoli. Oh, Oh, interesting. I did a new thing with my live chat manager. It's curious that it censored that. But yes, we chopped that Meerkat up. Hello, Envy. Welcome to the stream. The VS Code extension that is actually like running my code and showing the errors is a thing called Quaka.js. Quaka. They have it for most major editors. You can install it. There's a pro version. The non-pro version has some limitations, but yeah. Let's see. We're catching up on the YouTube chat now. Hello, Luis. Welcome to the stream. Motivation is saying, I heard that if you play music before a certain year, it's no longer a copyright violation. That is true. Like, we could go on probably the Internet Archive and find some music in the public domain, and that would work. I don't know if people want to listen to that kind of music, but that's definitely a possibility. Hello, Dirkerall. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Alana. Rabbitworks is saying, what does index mean? Can you just return the destructured array? I don't think so. So that gets a little bit tricky because usually a destructuring needs to have a const on the left-hand side. And we do want to rearrange them. So I don't know. Like, we definitely couldn't just do this. This is like a syntax error because it needs to do the assignment before it can do the return. I mean, I guess potentially if we wrapped this in parentheses, probably put a const there. I don't know. I don't think it's possible. If somebody knows, please let me know. Self-improvement is asking, what is my full name? Carl Johnson is a good one. It's what a lot of people guess. I'll go with that one. Thanks for also my year for the array.reverse suggestion. That definitely worked. KR Tong is saying you can also declare a ton of variables like let var 1, var 2, var 3 equal. Yeah, and so that's like another way of swapping around an array. In our case, our array already had values inside of it, but you could technically create the array right here, put some values inside of it, and then the left-hand side, oh, this just wants single quotes, that's all. The left-hand side will take those values and put them into these variables. That's definitely possible. There we go. We did unshift, very good. Ooh, Boyan is doing it in a one-liner. So, and that's a great suggestion as well. So the cool thing about destructuring is you can actually do it as the arguments to a function. So let's look at this example. And so on line 1 of this function, we're basically just destructuring it, and then we're creating a new array. But what we could do is actually destructure the argument to the function, or the parameter. So if we put our destructure right there, it's going to work in exactly the same way. Because what JavaScript will do is when this function is invoked, it's given some value, and it will then destructure that value to create these 3 variables, and then we can use them on the next line. So that works too. Thanks for the suggestion, Boyan. If you're coding in React, this is actually extremely common when you're creating like functional components. So this is array destructuring, but you can also do object destructuring, and you see this a lot with the components you create. You have your object destructuring as basically the argument to the function, and that allows you to pluck out all the values that you need from props without having to do like this.props.thing.thing. You can just extract them out, which is pretty cool. Thanks for the suggestion. Yeah, and so I just mentioned this extension, Quaka. This is the one that runs my code inside the editor, which is pretty cool. What else? Hello, Oliver. There we go. They got the one-liner. And yeah, so if you wrote this as an arrow function, technically you could just do it all on one line. You could say that, and then this. We'll get there. Syntax is weird, but we need an equal sign right there. So we're creating a variable called fix the Meerkat. It is an arrow function that takes in an argument and destructures it all in one, and then just immediately returns the value. So yes, we can get very tricky with the syntax and just do that if we wanted to. Thank you, Oliver. Hello, Code. Matthew is saying, when you destructure object, does the variable need to be the same thing as the object key? It doesn't. So whenever you're destructuring, you can actually rename things. So with array destructuring, it doesn't make as much sense because you can call these whatever you want. But with object destructuring, let's just see a simple example of object destructuring. Got an object. We'll put in a variable. const person is an object. It has a name, which is CJ. So let's talk about object destructuring since we're here and since people have questions about it. So let's say I wanted to create a variable name that had the value CJ inside of it. The old way of doing this would be to say const name equals person dot name. Then we can log name. Good to go, right? The destructuring version is like so. Const, and then you do the curly braces. Now, destructuring is weird because we've repurposed some syntax from JavaScript. This isn't creating an object. Whenever you see curly braces on the left-hand side of an assignment, this essentially tells JavaScript, hey, I want to destructure this thing. So what we're doing here is we're saying, I want you to take the name property that's inside of person, pluck it out, and put it in a variable called name. So right here, if we log name, we get name. Awesome. Now the question that was just asked is, okay, I pulled it out of the object, but what if I want to rename it? My OBS almost closed. It didn't. Okay, so what if I wanted a new variable? Like, what if I didn't want to call it name? Well, that's where renaming can come into play. And this really only works with object destructuring. So what you can do is you can use a colon, and then you give it a new variable name, like first name. And so now we've plucked out the property name and put it into a variable called first name, and that's the value there. So that's how you do it with object destructuring. We need coding garden radio. You know, I had a back in the day, I created an internet radio station, and people could listen on Winamp. Hello, Domenico. Welcome to the stream. I don't have my, I do have a local ESLint plugin. I used to have one. I mainly just stick with Airbnb. Hello, Steven. Thanks for always being consistent with your stream. Love it. Still looking for a new job. Starting to get a little depressed about not getting any interviews. Just keep trying. And also, just keep coding. Like, don't let it get you down, right? Because finding a job, looking for interviews, that's a grind in itself. And you can get away from actually like practicing solving things and practicing building things. So try not to do that. Maybe you can try and solve these katas today, but good vibes out to you, Steven. All right, let's catch up on Twitch. Then we'll go back to YouTube. Like I said, YouTube integration is not working here. Quokka.js, thank you. Yes. What did I just walk into? Welcome, totally same. You're always welcome here. We're solving code katas is what we're doing. Dana Chu says, just play some music from the 1920s. That has to be public domain by now. You know what? It's kind of like the music that Coding Train plays. If you've ever seen Coding Train on YouTube, though it's definitely not 20s because it's like a modern recording. But yeah. Hello, FSETs. Welcome to the stream. Katoli is saying all the music became public domain when the author died 80 to 100 years ago. Yeah. Thanks for the follow, Xylum X1. Welcome. Totally saying Winamp is back too. Yeah. Cool. Any other chats? Yeah, I know I'm not getting YouTube chats over there, and I didn't feel like debugging it because I just wanted to start coding, so we've got a separate window for YouTube chats. There is only one true editor. That's not true. There's lots of editors. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows me as CJ. My parents call me CJ. My friends call me CJ. Everybody has just always called me CJ. That's my name. YouTube does offer a music library, but I've read weird things about where even though it said it was free for public use, videos are still getting copyright strikes. It could be that they're invalid copyright strikes, but right now YouTube has an automated system, so it just happens anyways. So I kind of just thought I wouldn't worry about it, but yeah. The comments manager is not listing my live streams. Is the issue. Hello, Mohammed. Welcome to the stream. Moving to YouTube because my internet connection is really bad now. That's interesting. So it's curious, like, for those of you watching on Twitch, is there, like, frames dropping, or is it a lower quality? Interesting. Hello, Matthew. Welcome to the stream. Rabbitworks is saying, I've heard that the beginning of the year is the best time for job hunting. Yeah, that's the other thing to think about. Towards the end of the year, companies' budgets get pretty tight, so they may not want to bring on a new person. But January 1st, it's a new year, so. Yeah, so it's updated, but all of a sudden YouTube integration is broken. So Ashwin is saying, project idea. Since you solve CodeWars regularly, why not build a scraper using Cheerio to get the question for the kata and directly open VS Code with the relevant console logs? That's a great, like, so I mean, the idea of the suggestion is there, but yes, why not integrate CodeWars with with VS Code, where I could literally just choose the kata and then it instantly creates the file? Is a good suggestion. Let's throw it in the README down here. Cool. Hello, yes sir. Hello, Zuhaib. Welcome to the stream. Percelsior is saying, nice to see you again. Do you have any good suggestions on a tutorial for a React login with JSON web tokens? Yes, I do. I think I might have mentioned the stream, this person's YouTube channel on the last stream. I think I did on the last stream, but if you check out Ben Awad, he's a really great YouTube channel, and a lot of his videos recently have been about JSON web tokens. He does a lot of React on his channel. He's done a lot of stuff with hooks, and it's really good. So just search for JWT on his channel. He also has a ton of good videos that are just talking about the underlying concepts of cookies and JSON web tokens. And then he has some longer build videos where he actually builds a React app with JWT. So check him out. Right there. Cool. Dana Chu is saying it's smooth on Twitch. That's good. Thanks for the follow, Sack Lane. Welcome. Lag in Twitch one since I switched from YouTube. Interesting. Oh my goodness. It's censored. It's censored part of the URL. That's hilarious. On Twitch, everything is fine, but it takes a lot of internet to load with low latency. However, you can disable low latency. That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Cool. Yasir asks, how to start learning JavaScript. What's the best way? So, I mean, Coding Train comes to mind because he actually does have a lot of beginner coding tutorials. So just go to YouTube and search for Coding Train. And then if you go into his playlists, there's like beginning programming. So he starts with like HTML and CSS and then gets into programming with P5.js. Let's see if we can find it. Introduction to processing. It's really going to be intro JavaScript. Introduction to P5, I think it is. This might be the play. Just search for Coding Train. He's got a ton of really good videos. One that I always recommend is a thing called Watching Code. This is a free online video course thing that takes you through the basics of JavaScript. They have a premium version. It's by Gordon Zhu. They also have like a free version that you can do, and I've heard good things about it. And just like I mean, I already know how to code, but I did walk through like the first module, and it seems like it's really good for beginners. He doesn't assume any prior knowledge, and he kind of like builds you up. You do pretty simple things, then you make them a little bit more complex. So you can check that out too. And always there's free code camp, and there's also this thing called the Odin project. So free code camp has, oh, they got a new landing page. Very cool. But they do have this the JavaScript section, which I believe starts from the basics. Go to the first lesson, like what are comments, what are variables, all that good stuff. And then the Odin project is very similar to Free Code Camp. They have a full online curriculum. They have different tracks. If you go into full stack JavaScript, I think could be JavaScript 101. Yeah, but the link that I just shared, this watching code, that's really for beginners. So I would probably start there, and then those are some other resources for you. Issa says, how can I call you? I don't really make my phone number public. You can always reach out on Discord or anything like that. We want more Auth for Noobs episodes. They'll be incoming. It'll definitely happen. When's the next TDD video coming out? It's not on the schedule, but we can do it. It's always fun. Devin says, I learned so much from your videos. Thank you for doing them. You're very welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Is Code Garden and Code Training related in some way? I saw you the first time there for Twitter for Cats. We're not related, but I did a guest appearance on the coding train. Yeah, so if you look at my YouTube channel, I have it under collaborations. If you just scroll down right here. So this was just I was living in New York City at the time. Dan had seen my YouTube channel before. He said, "Hey, like we should collab. You should come on." We didn't really have time to plan a collaboration, so I kind of just went on and taught a thing. But that's where a lot of my subscribers and people have come from because they saw that video on the coding train. But yeah. Yes. You're welcome, Priscelsier. Dana Chu says, Free Code Camp has been pretty good on my long and meandering JavaScript journey. Yeah. The code. I'm probably going to do a later stream today as well. So this is the morning stream. I'm going to do an evening stream. Dana Chu says, I'd love to see you and MPJ from Fun Function do a collab together. That'd be cool too. I've been hanging out in his live stream chat on Twitch. So maybe eventually, once he knows that I'm a decent person, I could suggest it. That'd be cool. We could do some React stuff or something like that. Scrimba has had some amazing JavaScript stuff come out. Oh, that's cool to point out. So I've seen Scrimba before. This is actually a super cool way to learn coding. So basically, it's like a tutorial embedded inside of a coding editor. And as the teacher is teaching, you can see their mouse moving, you can see them typing, and at any point you can essentially pause the video and change the code that they've written, which is super cool. Do they have like JavaScript, HTML and CSS, learn CSS variables, Flexbox? Oh, I guess this is all design. JavaScript courses. There's React, Vuex, D3, learn modern JavaScript. Let's just look at this first one.
Hello and welcome to this course on JavaScript ES6. ES6 is just a way to describe some newer JavaScript feature. This whole course is based on this picture. Hello and welcome to this course on JavaScript.
Okay, so that wasn't a good example, but let's watch this example.
For a long time in JavaScript,
you can see his mouse.
If you were going to declare a variable, you had to use the var keyword. But starting with ES6,
and the moment I start typing, the video pauses and I can change the code. So that's super sweet. And if you press play, it'll start again. Yeah, so Scrimba is like the future of learning, I feel like. So check that out too. There's that. There's that. What is Mahidra is asking, what is Apollo client, GraphQL, Yoga, Prisma? Why should I learn them? Is this related to Apollo 11? It's not related to Apollo 11. It's just another name. These are all ways of interacting with GraphQL. Like GraphQL is the overarching concept, and these are various libraries for interacting with them. That's what I'll say for that. That's a great point, KR. Eloquent JavaScript is a free online book, so you can check that out. I've heard from a lot of people that even though it does start at the beginning, like when you go into introduction, I believe it talks about like what is programming and teaches you the basics of programming. It can get a little bit dense. So I've heard of a lot of people like learning JavaScript and then going back to this book to learn JavaScript a little bit deeper. Because it can be harder for like complete beginners. There's Code Academy, LeetCode, CodeWars, Udacity. The other JavaScript book I would recommend is You Don't Know JS. Which I think got renamed to You Don't Know JS Yet. There you go, in the second edition. But the very first book, Getting Started, teaches programming from the ground up, and then teaches programming with JavaScript. And then these later books are a great read for anybody that is coding in JavaScript, because they're like a deep dive into how it works, how JavaScript works, and all that good stuff. Excuse me. Yes. Boyan is saying the React portion of Free Code Camp is a little outdated. That's okay. The thing is, like, even though they're not teaching hooks, I feel like learning all of the underlying concepts, even with an older tutorial that doesn't use hooks, is still going to be valuable. Hooks are just a little bit like sprinkling on top. Yeah, Edward is saying, I found Eloquent JavaScript to be really dense when I was first starting out. Yeah. For full stack development, Free Code Camp I mean, and also the Odin project, they all have like front end and back end curriculums. Self improvement says, I missed your question. What did you say? Oh, have you ever made anything with Python? Something serious, of course. Yeah, nothing on stream, but my first job in industry, I was working with a lot of researchers and mathematicians, and they use Python pretty heavily. So I learned Python so that I could work with them. But I haven't done any streams on it. Python or JS? I choose JavaScript. Hello, Emily Lemonaz. Maybe I said that wrong, but welcome. Cam says, what makes it the future of learning, or what difference does it have compared to like Udemy or Egghead? The fact that as someone that can be completely on the other side of the world, I can open up a Scrimba tutorial and I can literally see and interact with the code that the instructor is teaching. So it's different from a video, because with a video, you kind of just have to watch it, maybe like type the code as you go along. With videos, learners often can fall into a trap of just watching videos and not actually coding anything. Whereas something like Scrimba, because it's almost like you're sitting there with the instructor in your browser and you can edit the code. That's why I think it's the future of learning. It's pretty sweet. Yeah. Kim is saying, I feel like understanding life cycles in old class syntax help with understanding hooks as well. Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why I think, like, even though you might be learning a React course that doesn't cover hooks, all the stuff you learn is still going to be applicable. Hooks are just like another way of structuring your code, but all the underlying concepts are still there. Hello, Emily. I'm gonna try to pronounce it right. Emily Lamaz, who says InstaFluff suggested me. Awesome. Welcome to the stream. Live coding instruction. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Welcome back, Elka. I want to start programming at some point when I'm less scared of it. You can start at any time. Some of the things I suggested, so there's this thing called watch and code. I've suggested this to people that have like zero coding experience, and they learned like a little bit about JavaScript. So you might try this out. If you search for watch and code practical JavaScript, it's a totally free course. But Gordon Zhu is a really good teacher, and he kind of takes you from the basics and doesn't assume any prior knowledge, and it's pretty cool. So check that out. Yeah, definitely. So if you have multiple monitors while you're learning. Just checking if the greetings tab is still sorting hi into greetings. It is. Hello, Envy. Welcome. Call me Emin or Emini. Emini. Cool. All right, let's solve another kata, because we talked a lot, which is good. These are a lot of good questions, and the thing is, like, I started with a very basic coding problem. So the one that we solved here was my head is at the wrong end. So basically, we were given an array, and we needed to reverse it. We essentially needed to take the last thing at the end and put it at the beginning, and take the thing at the beginning and put it at the end. But we came up with 4 different ways to solve that, so that's fun. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Vaporcode. So this is going to be fun. So essentially, we need to write a function that takes a sentence in and turns it into Vaporcode. So what is Vaporcode? A Vaporcode is where every letter and character is separated by 2 spaces and is in all caps. So that's going to be fun. So let's create a file called Vaporcode. Vaporcode.js. And then we'll bring in our function, and we'll bring in our simple tests here. Let's see if I can do this. If I do this on a new line, the Quokka logging might be a little bit better. So I'm going to start up this thing called Quokka. More people are probably going to ask about it once they tune in, but this is the tool that runs my code inside of VS Code. So when I start this, you'll see that any console logs I have, it actually shows the output. And so right now, our Vaporcode function is returning undefined. So we see that it's returning undefined, and then we also see what we're expecting it to log, which is let's go to the movies. Cool. So how are we going to solve this? Essentially, we're given this string. We need to turn it into a new string where every single thing is separated by a space, and every single thing is uppercased. So I think we'll solve it with the for loop first. Like, you probably could just do like a split and then a join, and before that maybe you say to uppercase. But let's try to think about this in terms of loops. So first thing we will need is a place to store the vaporwave string. So we need a place where we're going to store this as we start to build it up, right? Because we start with nothing, then we need to look at each letter in this initial string, so that way we can put it into this string that we're building up. So a place to store the vaporwave string, initialized to empty string. So we start with nothing. We start with nothing, and then we can iterate over the string itself. So we want to iterate and look at every single letter, and then for every letter, we send it to uppercase and put it in the vaporwave string. So we'll say iterate over the letters in the string. I like to say iterate. Iterate essentially means we probably need a for loop or a for each. We need some way of going over each individual letter in the first string. So we're going to iterate over the letters. And then for each letter, we will to uppercase. Let's just say uppercase the letter, and then append to the vaporwave string with 2 spaces. So we're going to go 1 letter at a time. 1, 2, 3, and for each one, 2 uppercase, put it in the result, add 2 spaces, move on to the next letter. And then after the whole thing, we return the vaporwave string. So, first thing, a place to store the vaporwave string. So let's just say let vaporwave equals the empty string. So we start with nothing, and then we're going to iterate over the input string to start and build this thing up. So iterate over the letters in the string. So string right here is going to be whatever they passed in. So in terms of this one, it's going to be let's go to the movies. But when the function is called here, it's going to be why isn't my code working? So string is that string. And now we need to iterate over it. So I'm actually just going to use a regular plain old for loop. So I'll say for let I, while I is less than string.length. I++, and then we have each individual character in the string. Let's call it letter. And that's going to be string bracket I. And if we log the letter, we should see each individual letter. And let's comment out this one. So for the very first problem where we pass in let's go to the movies, we see that we're logging L-E-T '(S) space G space O. So we're logging each individual letter. So this is a good thing. This for loop lets us go and grab each individual letter. The string bracket I right here says let's get the letter inside of the string at that index. So the 0th letter, the first letter, the second letter, that kind of thing. So we have the letter. And one thing I just realized is we do, I believe, need to skip spaces. So if we come across a space, we just ignore it because we're adding 2 spaces anyways. So let's add that check. So we'll say if letter is not a space, then do this stuff. So the first thing is we need to uppercase the letter, but let's do the if statements first. So we'll say if letter does not equal space. It's as easy as that. So if it's not a space, then we're going to do this stuff. Because if it was a space, we would accidentally append 3 spaces, which we don't want to do. So now we uppercase the letter. So let's say uppercase letter is going to be letter.to uppercase. So now we have it capitalized. And if we log it, uppercase letter. Did I spell it wrong? There we go. And now we're seeing all of the letters capitalized, so that's a good thing. And now we want to append it to our vaporwave string. So vaporwave string starts off as empty, and then for each letter, we're adding it on to the end. So we're going to say vaporwave plus equals our uppercase letter plus 2 spaces. So that's going to put the letter, then 2 spaces, the letter, then 2 spaces. So we should be good there. And then at the end of it all, we can just return that vaporwave string. Vaporwave. There we go. So we have let's go to the movies. And let's just see if they equal each other. So I'm going to do let equals that. Oh, and it says false. I wonder what I did wrong. So the thing about running it with, oh, I know what I did wrong. So we're always appending two spaces. I at least know one thing I did wrong. I might have done other things wrong too, but we're always appending two spaces. So the very end of the string has two spaces on it, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to do trim. And that will remove the space on the end. So they should equal each other. Let's check. Yeah, they equal each other. So we did it right. And we can try this one. And if we compare them, true. Cool, so we did it. So essentially, we're given a regular plain old string, and then we turn it into Vaporwave. So that's great. And I'll go catch up on the chat, but like I said, there are other ways we can do this. This is kind of like the step-by-step. If you're new to programming and learning about all the concepts in programming, this is probably the way I would solve it, instead of depending on some of the built-in methods and other ways we might solve this. Because, like I said, you could split this, join it, and you'd be done. And really, let's just do that really quick because it's kind of like a one-liner. But if you do that, you're not really flexing your programming muscles. So I'll show you. So basically, we can say string.toUppercase. So that's going to turn the whole thing into uppercase. And then we'll just say split. And we're going to split on the empty string. So now we get an array with a bunch of different things in it. Let's filter out any of the spaces. So we get each letter. And we want every letter where the letter is not the empty string, or is not equal to a space. So send it to uppercase, split it, remove all of the single spaces, and then join it all back together on two spaces. Done. And so this should do it if we compare it. It works. But like I said, you're not really going to learn much about programming if you solve it this way. You're going to learn about the built-ins of JavaScript. But this code right here would be very similar in Java and C and C++, anything that has string manipulation and iterating. So that's a good way to solve it. All right, let's catch up on the chat because I'm sure there's a lot. How many stickers do I have on my laptop? I have a ton. So many. I mean, I haven't counted. I have literally a bucket of stickers upstairs as well. Nice, dude. I'm amazed by your knowledge about so many topics. For every question, you seem to have an answer. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's not always a good thing there are things there are a lot of stuff I don't know, and I will say it. There's so much I don't know. But I've had a lot of life experiences and work experiences and different things like that. Oh, Emily is saying, I'm a math student. I took MATLAB and C courses, and that's about it. You should be fine then. Like if you've already done C or if you've already done MATLAB, JavaScript will be a piece of cake, sort of. at least getting started, I think. Twitch is looping and lagging. Oh no! Oh no! Master Agent Miyazaki loves C. I was having issues with Twitch yesterday where it would just like freeze in the middle of people's streams. I don't know. Interesting. Map and join. Yeah, there we go. So Cam's provided the suggestion: string.split.map string.toUppercase.join. I would say if you do the to uppercase first, it's going to set the whole string to uppercase, so then you wouldn't have to worry about that. And we do want to join on two spaces, and then the one thing that we're missing there is we don't want to add two spaces to an existing space. So we definitely want to get rid of all the existing single spaces. Yeah, it's a good suggestion though. Very good. I wonder how much processing time is added doing a one-liner with new methods versus like using a for loop. So let's talk about it. So after you've solved a problem this way, in the computer science world, there's this thing known as Big O, which measures the complexity of an algorithm. So how the complexity of an algorithm grows as the size of the input grows. So as we pass longer and longer strings into Vaporcode, how is that going to affect the runtime? And in the case of this very first one, we have a for loop. Typically, when you see a for loop, that means your function is at least big O of n, because it has to go from the beginning to the end of a thing. So that's order n. And we mentioned it's growing as the size of the input changes. So n is the length of the string. So this goes up to n. And all of these are like constant time operations. And yeah, so I mean, this is order n. And the next one technically is order n too, but really this only has one iteration. So it's fairly performant in that it's only going to iterate the string once. If we look at this solution, which looks similar, it actually has multiple iterations in it. So think about two uppercase. We're taking a string of letters. We need to go over every single letter and send them to uppercase. So that's one iteration. And then split is, it's not quite order n because, well, actually, no, this one is order n because we're splitting on every single character. So we're going through the string and taking each character and then putting that into a new array. So two uppercase is one iteration, split is one iteration, filter is an iteration because it needs to go over the whole thing to get rid of all the spaces. So that's one more iteration. And then join is one more iteration to join everything together by two spaces. So technically this algorithm is still big O of n, but it has 1, 2, 3, 4 iterations, whereas this simple for loop only has one iteration. And so that's something to think about. Technically, the complexity and runtime of the algorithm doesn't grow over time, but this is going to have way less computation than this one. We can say that for sure. A while loop to check for null characters works as well, right? How is the null character defined in JavaScript? So in JavaScript, the space would not be considered null. And we can see that just like an interactive terminal really quick. So null is only ever equal to null itself. If you can compare null to anything else, like a space or even undefined, it's always going to be false. Undefined. Oh, okay. Not always. So you'll notice here I'm using the double equal sign, and in JavaScript the double equal sign allows the types to be coerced if the algorithm calls for that. So in this case, null double equals undefined is actually true, but if we do null triple equals defined, triple equals is strict equality, which doesn't coerce the types, and that should be false. It's interesting to note though, like even null with a spaced string is false. Null with an empty string might actually be true. No, it's false. Okay. But yeah, in JavaScript, each string character is basically there is no character type in JavaScript. In JavaScript, everything is a string. So even a one character string or a char is a one character string basically. Yeah. Yeah, but like I'm saying, it's negligible because this is a fairly simple algorithm and we're just going to iterate multiple times. But in more complex things, it's something that you would definitely want to consider. Yeah. And definitely it is a premature optimization. Like if you're used to JavaScript and you're used to these built-in functions, that's probably the way to do it. Can anyone think of other ways to solve it? Send me a message if you can think of other ways. Let's try to catch up. Was Python ever used for serious projects? I mean, I worked in industry, and at that job, it was used very much for very serious projects. But I haven't done it recently. Yeah. Mahidra is saying, you said don't store JSON web tokens on local storage and store the token on the cookies. Any resource would show that on a blog or tutorial. It's not about don't. It's about the trade-offs between the two. And there are a lot of proponents that say you shouldn't store it in local storage and you should only use cookies. But there are trade-offs to both. I mentioned this earlier, but check out Ben Awad's channel on YouTube. Just search for Ben Awad JWT. And you will find plenty of resources. He has like full app builds. He has some tutorials where he actually has really good diagrams showing you like what's the difference between local storage and cookies and why you should use one over the other. So check him out. I'll share that. YouTube. Oh, Merit Chan has a mention about the null terminator. Yeah, I'm not completely familiar with C, so we'll see. I'm not familiar with C, so we will see. Let's catch up. New phone, who dis? It's me. It's just me. Lo-fi videos on YouTube all use Vaporcode in the title. It's so true. Yeah, it's absolutely true. But then you got to keep the apostrophe together. Thanks for the YouTube sub, Eamon. Appreciate it. Doesn't a new line count as 2 letters? As far as I know, no. So when you're accessing that character, you're going to get /n. So / is the escape character. So technically, you can store /n in one character. Hello, Jesus. Good morning. I'll catch up after work. Okay. Yeah, so Meerkat is saying, I think he meant the null terminator in C strings, const char. Yeah, I'm not that familiar enough with C to know what it means or what the difference is. But I think it's somewhat different because, like I mentioned, in JavaScript, every single string, even a single character string, is a string. It simplifies things. So you can't really... There is no char type, is what I'm saying. What happened on Twitch? Do I have a YouTube channel concerning TDD programming? I don't have any suggestions. I don't know if I've seen any. Maybe I can start one. I don't know. Oh, I closed the Vaporwave one. Let's test our solution though. So it worked locally, but let's just throw it in CodeWars and see. Sample test. Ta-da! Cool. That's good to know. Katoli's saying, I think built-in methods are faster. I mean, there's a possibility that these built-in methods are native code, meaning that it's not like a JavaScript for loop implementation. It's an optimized loop. So given that this might actually be a little bit faster than a regular for loop because it can use the underlying optimizations. But for a problem like this, I don't really think it matters. We can talk about performance all day, but it doesn't exactly matter. Yeah. Built-ins like map and join, yeah, or even split, or yeah, different things like that, because they do potentially have like an underlying native implementation instead of just a JavaScript implementation. It's interesting to note though, like if you look at some of the performance benchmarking out there, some people have found that for each is actually faster than a for loop because of the underlying optimizations. But that's not the point of the stream. We were just trying to solve basic katas. The fastest would be an ASCII conversion hash for loop. Yeah, probably. So a while loop to check a character will always check against a character, so speed ultimately would depend on the size of an integer compared to the size of a character in JavaScript. Yes, maybe. I don't know exactly what you're saying. What does let do is what's totally sane is asking. So you might have seen me using const a lot. So const declares a variable that cannot be reassigned, meaning I can't put a new value into it. Let lets me create a variable where I can change the value inside of it. And so you'll notice here on line 12, I'm changing the value of Vaporwave. So that's why I put it in a let variable. But both let and const are ways of creating variables. It's a way of storing a value to use it later. But let, you can modify it. So what this line of code says is, it could be better be written like this: Vaporwave plus uppercase letter plus 2 spaces. So what it says is evaluate the right-hand side. So we take the existing value of Vaporwave, we append the uppercase letter to it, and we append 2 spaces to it, and now we take that result and we put it back into Vaporwave. And so that's why I used let. And you'll also notice in the for loop, the I variable is let, because we're changing I on each iteration. So I go 0, 1, 2, and we're putting that new index value into I, so which is why we need it to be a let. Thanks for the follow, Zephies. Thanks for the follow, Camzak. Dirk is saying, while I listen, it's like write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it. Write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it. That would be a good programming song. that's I like that. I'm gonna make a note of this in the README. I've done a little bit of electronic music production, so I could make it happen. Welcome back, Alka. My filter is a bit too aggressive. It finds weird things in URLs and filters the content out. VS Code will work with Python, yeah, and you can find some Python plugins for it. I know a lot of people do prefer a thing called PyCharm, I think it is. PyCharm, yeah, so the Python IDE. So a lot of Python developers use this, but you can definitely configure VS Code to work with Python as well. Yep. Emily is saying big O of 4n is equal to big O of n. So coefficients don't matter because it goes to infinity. Yeah, so technically, both of our solutions have the same underlying complexity, but this one does have more individual steps that need to, yeah, there's more computation that needs to happen here. But both of these functions, the complexity of them grows at the exact same rate. Even though this is 4n and this is n, they still have the same slope. So the difference from a string, the difference in runtime for an input of string length 100 versus an input of string length 101 is the same for these two functions, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And the thing is, like, most JavaScript developers are going to solve it this way. Most JavaScript developers are going to use the built-in JavaScript functions. Yeah, VS Code you can do so many different languages with it. They have different language runtimes for providing syntax suggestions and inline editor support for a ton of different languages. Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure with the terminology either. I've started using an old 2012 MacBook Pro and the first time using a Mac. So I might have like a 2013 or 2014 MacBook, and it still runs beautifully. I don't like it because it's very thick, but Macs last and work really well for a long time. Thanks for the follow, Marquez Diojo. Welcome. Alka saying, I really like storing a JWT in local storage. Yeah, and the one thing about storing it in local storage is if your site is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, someone could steal your tokens. Same thing, though, if you store your token in a cookie and your site is vulnerable to cross-site request forgery, someone could steal your cookie. So there are trade-offs to both. It's nice having it in local storage because you can literally pull it out, decode it. You have the user info and you don't have to make a request to the backend. But like I said, there's trade-offs to both. Yeah. Cookies are mysterious. I mean, they work in a very similar way. It's just harder to access them because you have they're stored like in a query string format. I don't know. Cookies makes things easier. And that's another point as well. So when you store a cookie, every single request that the browser makes includes that cookie. Whereas local storage, it's stuck inside the browser. You have to literally write JavaScript that pulls that value out of local storage and puts it into an HTTP header. Yeah. Maybe. Hello, Liquidor. Welcome to the stream. Katas would be nicer to solve if they used a better code editor, improve their latency. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I subscribe to CodeWars Red, which gives me, I get closer in the queue whenever it's running my code. But let's send this to attempt it. We did it! Oh, wow, they passed some really long strings into this one. Whoa. Submit final. Yeah, I agree. Olarsino is asking, does for each in JavaScript do parallel processing? No, so pretty much every JavaScript engine is a single-threaded engine. So there's only one process. There are ways of doing multitasking, and typically you would use something like promises and async await, where the thing that you're doing is calling some underlying mechanism that will potentially spin up a new process. But for each is always it's going to go through the things all in one, and it's not going to really wait for the last one to finish before it does the next one. They're not going to happen in parallel. Well, actually, yeah, it's just going to call all of them. So if you want to do parallel processing, you would use something like a promise.all. pseudocode. This code does nothing. But because array.map returns an array, and because each of those invocations returned a promise, we technically have here an array of promises that we can then wait on the results for. So that's typically how you do parallel processing in JavaScript. Yeah. Yeah, everything is single-threaded in JavaScript. WebGL, is WebGL parallel processing? Interesting. I didn't know that. So that's possible. And so that's the other thing. It depends on the environment, because in Node.js, it's a single-threaded process. You do have access to things like process.exec or like child.spawn. So you can spawn other processes. But the main JavaScript event loop is happening on a single thread. That said, when you're in the browser, you have things like WebGL, which will let you do parallel processing. And you also have service workers, which are background JavaScript tasks, and that essentially gives you parallel processing. Yep. And WebGL would be running on the GPU, which potentially has multiple processors. Yeah, I need to fix the censoring. That's definitely broken. Welcome, Batch in your face. Welcome to the stream. It was just 4 emotes. I see. Yeah. Thanks for the follow, Leo Santos 707. Yeah, the older MacBook is pretty thick, I guess that's the other thing. You can hear the hard drive ticking because it was like before SSDs were affordable and really popular. But yeah, all right. Where's my YouTube chat? Catch up. Where were we? Yeah, Amir is also recommending Ben Awad's channel, so definitely check it out. Brett is saying mpj/funfunction has some good TDD episodes. That's true. Yeah, check out funfunction for TDD type stuff. We should do a mob programming session where we rebuild Twitch's entire infrastructure for them. It'd be a bit more involved than that. Okay, Merchant is saying, in C, there are no strings, only character arrays, and arrays are often interchanged with pointers to the first element. Therefore, you need a null pointer, or is that what that is? At the end, oh yeah, a null pointer at the end of every string to know where it ends. That makes sense. Cool. Yeah, JavaScript is weird. Everything's a string. But like you saw, though, I can actually access the characters in the string using like array indexing syntax, which is interesting. But yeah. Eric is saying, been an OOP programmer for most of my career, currently learning F#. What's your opinion of functional programming? I think it's really cool. So I did C# for the first 3.5-4 years of my career, and that was all about object-oriented programming. I learned tons of design patterns and like how to structure things using OOP. But then when I got into JavaScript, I slowly started to like really realize the benefits and the cool things you could do with functions and function composition and this idea of passing functions around. I do realize in C# they do have lambdas, and you could do something similar, but it's not. It was kind of added onto the language later. It wasn't like the language wasn't built to support that from the beginning, whereas JavaScript was built to be a functional and object-oriented programming language from the beginning. So yes, I think functional programming is very cool, and I use aspects of it in my programming with things like closures and composition, which makes programming fun, I think. That said, I'm not like a truly functional programmer. Like, I still like mutating state, and I have functions that are not pure, but the aspects of functional programming I do like. Motivation is saying, is there a way to find out how many points you've been given on CodeWars depending on the difficulty level? I really don't know. If you go to CodeWars, and I mean, you can see your overall score. Like, look at Julian. Julian's tuned into the stream a lot, but he has 13,000 honor. I only have 1,300. Yeah, let's see if I go into my profile. Can you see the breakdown? Completed katas, achievements, rank breakdown. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so if you go to your profile, you can see completed kata by rank. So I have completed 51 6Qs, 37 5Qs, and 8 4Qs. Huh. So that's the breakdown. That's not the points, though. The point system is weird. I've seen this point number jump up and down. I don't really know if there's any reason to it. Yeah, I don't know. What's up, Splart? Welcome to the stream. Dr. Fogg has a joke for us. Java can't C# sometimes. So C# and Java, like the syntax actually look very, very similar. And C# was very much influenced by Java. Arguably, C# is much better now than Java. I mean, again, it's just an opinion, but people do make that comparison. Good morning, BMax. Welcome. Elvis says, I think I prefer VS Code for everything except for Java. I've actually used VS Code for Java before, and for basic things it works fine. I was still using like the Maven command line tool because it doesn't have any like build and run things unless there's another like a plugin you can install. Question: do I like Feathers the most? Are there any other frameworks that I like? I do like Feathers, and every time I build an API, I ask myself, should I just use Feathers? And a lot of times like it makes things way easier, so that's why I like it. I also like Vue.js for the front end. Those are my favorites. Mac computers, what are those? Hello, Coding Journey. Thank you. Good morning, Harsh, or good evening. Welcome. YouTube has been skipping forward 10 to 15 seconds at random times when I watch a live stream lately. Anyone else have this problem? It could be like I am getting this warning in the YouTube live stream that says, please use a keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. Currently, keyframes are not being sent often enough. So if you're having issues, let me know, because I could try to fix that. Hello, Kamalash. Welcome. If you go to Twitch, you can share a link, Motivation. I don't think YouTube lets you share links. Yeah. Thanks for the, yeah, I like my hat. I'm not exactly a fan of TypeScript. TypeScript is okay. It has its uses, but I prefer to write things without it, especially when I'm building things for me. We don't mention the T word on the stream. TypeScript. Yeah. Go check out tools for Mac like Spectacle. He made videos. I find it very useful. Yeah, so I'm using Spectacle for all my Windows stuff. So when I do things like this, or like this, or like that, or like that, that's Spectacle. But yeah, I have a video called Setting Up a Mac for Web Development, and I have all the tools that I install. For each isn't async, so it's not really the same as promised all. It's not. I'm not saying they're the same at all. What I was saying was, if you wanted to do parallel processing, you would use a promise all, not a for each. I mean, technically, you could put promises inside the callbacks of a for each. If you wanted to do something with all of the results at the same time, that's where you're going to run into issues. But technically, you could actually do that. Hello, Linus. Welcome. There are libraries like GPU.js that let you write code in JavaScript that will be parsed and converted to code to run in the same system's GPU and then return. It can even do graphics if you want. That's insane. You can write really performant code if you could write a Bitcoin miner in JavaScript. I think those things exist anyways. What do the code buttons on the chat manager do? They they show the source. So notice how this person, I can't see their name because it's blocked. Is it Baskin? It's Baskin. But if I click this, it'll show me what the underlying code was that they sent. So Baskin sent NH1. Notice me. Hello, Baskin. So if I click this button, it just shows me what's the underlying source. The Twitch manager chat messed up. If you see the URL, YouTube chat, live chat is not working. It's always something. But I didn't feel like debugging it. I wanted to get some coding problems done. Potentially has multiple processors. You're right. There's thousands of cores in a GPU. You're right. The completed section is red specific, I think. Oh, because I'm a fancy. I paid for CodeWars. I get to see it. You can do build run in VS Code debugging too. Okay, yeah, I've just never done it before. Interesting. I guess I've done it with JavaScript, but never any compiled language. Hello, Baskin. How to use Feathers.js serverless? If you want to use the real-time aspect of it, you really can't. You can't do serverless because the nature of serverless is spin up the server and then the server goes down. Whereas with real-time, you need a server that's always running so it can have a persistent connection between the client and the server. So there's that. Look at the source of this message. Ooh, you did a comment. That's awesome. So there's that. But if you're not doing real time, then technically you could turn an express app into Lambda functions. I think you would start your search there. And if you're using Zeit now.sh, that will actually turn an express app into a Lambda function for you, or a serverless function. Code blocks gets no love ever. You managed to finish the Twitch bot last time. Sorry, I had to go and half the stream. No, we didn't finish it. We've got a lot more to do. And actually, if you take a look at the GitHub repo, we have created issues and we have a project board. So if you look at issues, these are like our prioritized issues and they're labeled. And if you look at the project board, it has all of the upcoming things that we're going to be working on. It's a lot, so there's definitely going to be more episodes. But yeah. I've been noticed in my life. No, I've been noticed. My life is complete. Yeah, we looked at the source. It's got a comment, a snake. Use it with Zeit. Yeah, so you could technically do that, but like I said, you won't get the real-time aspect. Baskin has a question. What would be a good way to learn JavaScript? Or I swear I'm not filtering out TypeScript if that's what you actually said. Let's see what you actually said. My profanity filter is a little bit aggressive. It filtered out Node? I wonder what curse word it thought that was. What would be a good way to learn JavaScript or Node.js? Because I've always wanted to learn them, but I never... Yeah, so it did filter out that word, which is good. It depends. So if you do you have programming experience in other languages? If that's the case, I would probably start you off at either like Eloquent JavaScript or you don't know JS yet. Eloquent JavaScript, which is this one. Have experience with Python, cool. Or then you don't know JS. I always recommend you don't know JS to people that are coming from even like C# or Java, because JavaScript is it can be deceiving, right? So you look at this code and it looks like C# almost, or it looks like Java almost. So C# and Java programmers will come in here thinking that this code behaves like C# or Java, where there are certain things you should know about where it won't actually behave that way. And then they start to hate the language because it's not C# or Java. So you don't know JS does a really good job of explaining like what JavaScript is and how it works. And it doesn't make any assumptions, and it doesn't approach it from the standpoint of like trying to be like another language. So you don't know JS is really good, probably especially for Python, someone who does Python, because it'll describe the dynamic nature of JavaScript, but how that is actually different from Python. So check that out. And then Eloquent is just good all around. So check that out. I got a new keyboard and I keep bumping enter while I'm typing. Hey, no worries. You'll get used to it. The JS runtime, Node.js. What's my VS Code setup? Actually, if you do bang VS Code, there you go. Though I am trying out a new theme. The theme I'm using right now is called One Dark Raincoat. Oh man, that's not it. There it is. You're welcome. Yeah, my font is listed on that settings page too. Master Miyazaki tried to send something. Cool. Let's catch up on YouTube, and then we'll solve a kata. Rabbitworks says, I just have a buffering on repeat for me. Stream did lag just a bit ago. So on YouTube or on Twitch? That's not good. How do we handle a NumPy array in JavaScript? I've never worked with that. SB is saying, how many years have I been coding? So I've been coding professionally for about 10. Overall, probably 15. Yes, JS looks like Java, but it's nothing like Java. And if you come in with those preconceived notions, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be frustrated. So approach it with a clean state of mind. Could I possibly do a tutorial on scraping like I did with your IMDb scraper, but with multiple page URLs? Check out my website. So go to coding.garden/videos. Just search for web scraping. And I think this was a noob quest. This is actually like a really long stream, but it's not that long, 3.5 hours, nothing. But we scraped a website that had menu items, and those pages potentially had multiple pages of menu items. So we did have to do multi-page scraping. But essentially we scraped all of the menus of every single restaurant within like a 10-mile radius, put those into a database so that way we could search for individual menu items. So you can check that out. Cool. YouTube, but no major issues. Okay, that's good to hear. How do I add an environment variable in Sight? And hello, Briggs. It's been a while. Check out now secrets. Well, that's not going to work. DuckDuckGo isn't... It doesn't know. It's not specific enough. Here you go. Zeit, environment variables and secrets. So from the command line, you can do now secrets add. And then this is what you want. I'll just share that immediately. And then in your now.json, you can specify what your environment variable should be. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes. So let's try to solve one more kata before we go. Kappa is tiny. What do we have? Font size 2 pixels. Nice. Yeah, some people were mentioning some different fonts, I think on my last stream. I personally, I think I've decided I don't like ligatures. Yeah, that's a good call. The Twitch stream is working beautifully. That's good to hear. What I want to do at work. Watch CJ. Oh, it just links to itself. That's pretty good. There we go. It removed the URL, but that's fine. It'll keep working, I'm pretty sure. Maybe. All right, let's solve one more kata. I think I did submit this one. Yeah, this is Vaporcode. And then the last one we're going to try to do today is... Oh, I have two. Matrix Edition or Tic-Tac-Toe like table generator. Vote now in the chat. So Matrix Edition is we'll take two n by n matrices and add them together and return a new matrice with their addition. Or should we do Tic-Tac-Toe like table generator, where we're given the board, which is a flat array, and we're given a width, which is how wide the board is, and then we have to print to the console a tic-tac-toe board using that. But it could be something that's not 3x3, and it could end up being like that. Vote now. Tic-Tac-Toe or Matrix Edition. Just send one message that says Tic-Tac-Toe or Matrix Edition. Oh yeah, Briggs, and about that, so that link that I shared, if you go down to the section accessing environment variables, this is the part that you need. So in your now.json, you'll put the variable name and then put the name of the secret on the right hand side, and that should give you access to it. New sub here. What do I think about making a Screep series? I know that Brooks Builds has done it. Screeps. It's like a game where you program strategy into it. I don't know. I'm not really a game player is the thing. If you check out Brooks Builds channel, I think he's done some stuff on Screeps. Oh no. Oh. Just closed. I just closed Chrome. Oh man. This always happens. Okay, here we go. I think everything opened back up. That's good. That's good. Let's see. So we have everyone's saying tic-tac-toe. We've got tic-tac-toe, 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 tic-tac-toe. And if we look at YouTube, we've got like 4 votes for tic-tac-toe. All right, we're gonna do tic-tac-toe. Not only did I show my browsing history, I also closed the entire browser. Yeah, this is bad. I should definitely create like a new profile for my Chrome. The link for the code kata system. Oh, but the Twitch chat is gone now. Oh no. Twitch. Here. All right, we've only got 10 minutes now, so we have to solve that tic-tac-toe one pretty quick. Pop out. Close that. Oops. And we'll put that there. Here it is again. Thank you. Oh, does this pull from like the CodeWars API, or did you make this Airtable? Oh, no. Okay, I see. So it's the number of points you get for the Q type. I see. Very cool. Okay. We're going to do tic-tac-toe, and we've only got 10 minutes, so it's going to be a quick one. All right, so let's create a file. Tic-tac-toe like table generator. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to do that, so that way all the people watching on Twitch know that it's live. They always ask, is this live? It's live. I just like to code for a while before I get back to the chat. All right, new file. Tic-tac-toe generator. Oh, is it generato? Oh, no, generator.js. Cool. We accidentally ran our code, but so we'll bring the function down, and then we'll need some basic tests. We're gonna make these into just regular plain old console logs, and I'm gonna write it on a new line like this, so it's a bit easier to see. We're going to test it first with a 2x2 matrix thingy. Cool. And I'm going to start up Quokka. So Quokka will run my code inside of my editor. So I'll do this, and then we'll see right now my function is returning undefined, but it needs to be returning this, so we'll need to write it. So essentially what we need to do is we're going to be creating a grid that is this wide, so 2 wide, and then we'll wrap around. In the description of the problem, it says that we don't have to worry about missing elements. The vector length is always going to be a multiple of the width. So in this case, the vector length is 4, and the width of the thing we're generating is 2. So that's good. And essentially what we have to do is for each character inside of the array, we put a space on both sides of it, put a pipe, and then we move on to the next thing. So because I only have 9 minutes, I'm gonna try to solve this without pseudocode. We're just gonna get in. We're gonna get in and do it. So ultimately, we need some place to store the result, and this is just a string. And then we're gonna need to iterate over the board. So we'll have a for loop that goes from I and less than board.length. And this is going to be we'll call it element, and this is going to be board at I. So essentially, if we just log element, we're going to see each value inside of the array. Great. But what we actually need also is an inner loop that goes from 0 up to 2. I believe. No, we need some sort of counter to let us know where we are in the current row. So let's say let current column equals 0. So we start off the current column as 0. We increment it until we get to the width, and then we go back to 0. So we'll say if current column is less than width, then we want the result, we want to append a string that has a space and then the element itself, and then a space and then a pipe. And let's just, and so if the current column is less than the width, we're going to add to it. If it's not less than, then it means it's either greater than or equal to, so we're going to reset the current column back to 0. And now if we just log result, what do we get? We get this. So essentially we get 0x x0. Now, I made one mistake. So essentially when we get to the end of a column, we don't want to append the pipe. So let's just put that in a little ternary. So we'll do this. We'll say if current column is equal to width minus 1, then we want to show nothing. Otherwise, we'll show the pipe. Might need to wrap some things in parentheses like that. If current column is equal to width minus 1, so it's 0. Oh, and then we need to increment it. So current column plus plus. There we go. So the current column starts at 0, and then we increment for each thing that we add. If we're at the edge, we don't want to put a pipe. We just put an empty string. And actually, if we're at the edge, we want to put a new line like that. And I guess also if we made it to the edge here, then we want to append like a row that marks the what is this called? So it's the dashes that go below each row. So when we reach the width, that means we're resetting to the next line. And we should have appended a new line. It might not be showing the new line. Yeah, there we go. It is appending the new line. And oh, we always want to increment current column, I think. Right? So result starts at nothing. Current column starts at 0. We start iterating from 0 up to the length of the board. And we grab each individual thing that's in this array. And then we say if the current column is less than the width, so right now we're trying to create a column with just 2. So we'll say result plus equals the element, so this would be O. The current column is not equal to the width minus 1 because the current column is 0. So we append a pipe. That's good. And then we get to the next line. So current column increases, I increases, the element is now X. So that's good. I think the issue we're running into is we have 0x and then O. Where's the next X? O. We're not appending it. Okay, I only have 4 minutes. I got to figure this out, though. I did some like weird logic here. So, really, this shouldn't be in an if statement. We're always incrementing the current column. But if the current column is equal to the width, no, we'll always increment it. Increment it afterwards. And then if the current column is less than the width, set it back to 0. That. Because this will essentially always do that. So if we log it, that's good. And now the only thing we need to handle is appending that line. So when we reset the column, at that point, we've already appended a /in, which is going to be a new line. So we actually need to just say a result plus equal, and then we need a bunch of dashes. How many dashes do we need? So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if we think about it, a row is going to have length, which is 2, times 3, because there's 3 characters for each. So that gives us 6. Yeah, and is that how many we need? We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it just length times 3 plus 1? So we can do dot repeat. Width times 2 plus 1. Like that. And then that gives us our result. And we really only want to do this if we're not on the last row. Yeah, we'll say if I does not equal board.length minus 1, then append the last row. So that way we just get that. Cool. And then we will return the result. So I do have to go in 1 minute. Let's see if this works. Let's kill that. We'll just say node tic-tac-toe like generator. Oh man, we've got some weird stuff going on. How many? Oh, because it logs itself twice. Really, we just want to log. We just want to log this. So if we run that, it broke. We need to append a new line whenever we append this line. So we need to do that plus a new line like that. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So width is 2. Oh, no. Times width times 3 plus 1. There we go. And so just real quick, we'll try it with one of these longer ones. So this is like a regular tic-tac-toe board with length 3. That one, let's try it. Will it work? It may not. I think this logic right here is off a little bit, so let's see. Yeah, it's a little off. Oh, it might be length plus length minus 1. There it is. All right, we've done it. I'm just going to submit this on CodeWars, but then I got to go. And then I'll maybe sort of catch up on the chat. Sample tests. Oh, it's broken. Oh no. Okay. Actually, I could actually come back in like 10 minutes. This won't work. That won't work. Is there other stuff on YouTube? All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a 10-minute break because I have to go to stand up. But when I come back, we will fix this. People have suggestions. Submit your suggestions now. And we'll fix this though. We're on the right track. We're sort of there, but I need to fix it. So I'll be back in 10 minutes. Stick around. Yeah, see you soon. Here's this. You know what? I think I changed my mind. I think I'm going to end streaming now because I am going to stream tonight. So this was the morning Katas stream, and tonight at around 8 p.m. Mountain Time, which is GMT -6. We're gonna clean this up. I'll take all of your suggestions. I'll keep all the chats open. I'll look at them tonight again, and we'll fix this up tonight. But in the meantime, we're going to go raid a channel, and I think we're gonna raid InstaFluff because he's live.
Yum yum names, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna raid InstaFluff. So, thanks everyone for tuning in. Like I said, this evening we're gonna be streaming again. Let's go raid InstaFluff. Is it /raid or /raid? And if you're on YouTube watching, head over to Twitch, twitch.tv/InstaFluff. And Alka's already there. So here we go.
Translators like, oh, it's French. In Texas, it's doubly legal. It's against federal law and against specific law in Texas that provides federal protection because of how many people find loopholes to deny service of employment or entrance to people with service dog. Oh.
23 people to raid. All right, here we go. I gotta hit the raid now button. Alrighty, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, this afternoon we will have more code katas. So tune in. We'll fix up this solution. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.